Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana, but you'll notice Alana is not here today, so we're going to pause Alana and bring in Monica. Monica Ion is the founder of the School of Universal Laws and FTP methodology. Spending 15,000 hours between 2016 and 2024 working with clients worldwide, she has supported entrepreneurs to achieve exponential growth and assisted women in creating personal, financial, and professional fulfillment. Earning degrees in psychology and sociology combined with a background in math and science, Monica discovered the 7 universal laws, a framework that makes client breakthroughs predictable and repeatable. Universal laws are fundamental principles that are thought to govern the structure and behavior of the universe. They are seen as constant, unchanging, and applicable to all things, regardless of time or space. The 7 universal laws that Monica uses are found to be the most relevant to understanding how the mind operates and creates lasting transformation. Monica is the co-founder of Inspired Life Circle and was rated Romania's #1 coach by the country's top business leaders. Her expertise has been featured in media outlets such as Forbes, BDTV, The Women, and her forthcoming book, The 7 Universal Laws, will be available on Amazon in May 2025. I am so honored to have you here today, Monica. Welcome.
Hi, Blair. Thank you very much for having me. Since we met and we connected from heart to heart, you have a special place in my life. Thank you very much for having me here.
Oh, it's an honor. And so I met Monica a few years ago through her husband. We were at the same event. We live in very different parts of the world. We were both in Mexico at this event, and we had a beautiful dinner together. And she actually met me in a time of chaos right after my parents had died. And so it's so beautiful that our friendship has evolved and that you've seen me do the growth, the healing, the work. And as I've gotten to know you and learn more about the 7 universal laws framework, I'm able to see actually some of it that I've been doing without knowing I'm doing it, but also have more awareness on how to apply them to my life, to my business, to my healing. So for me, it's an honor to have you here and an honor to share your expertise with our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a few things in common, and something that we have in common is that both of our moms have passed away.
Yes.
So let's talk about your mom. I would love to know the story of your mom, her name, and what happened.
This might get emotional for me. My mom passed away 5 years ago. Her name was Eva. And I think I had one of the most spiritual experiences with her passing away. What happened is that we knew that she's terminally ill, and I was there next to her almost every day, trying to support her, cheer her up, be with her, just be with her. And the doctor asked me if I want to be next to her if she's gonna have her last breath. And I said yes. So one of the evenings, the doctor called and he said, this is the night when it's gonna happen. And he asked me if I want to be there with my mom. So I said yes, because I knew I had to be here. I had to be there. I didn't know why, but I just knew that I have to be there. So I called my dad and we both went to the hospital and we spent the night with my mom. I was aware of the law of transformation because here is when life and the laws of the universe come together. I was aware of the law of transformation and I was so curious to see how it plays out. So in the morning when the sun was rising up, my mom had her last breath. We talked with my dad and we said, look, when this happens, from what we learned, we have to be there and, just saying to the person that it's all fine, you're okay, we are here for you. So we went out because in Romania, there have to be this resuscitation procedure. regardless what's the stage of the patient. So they tried to do that. It was too brutal for me to assist to that. So we went out on a balcony in the hospital, and we just spent some time with mom, connecting with mom. And when we came back in to the hallway, we met the doctor and two nurses there. And the law of transformation says that nothing is missing. It just transforms and you have a new form. So I was looking for my mom to show up there. And the doctor spoke with a voice which was very similar to my mom's. He had this kindness, this empathy that was specific to my mom. So my mom was present there. I couldn't believe it. One of the nurses had brown eyes, exactly like my mom had, and that, kind, warm look. So I couldn't believe that my mom was already there. It was just, minutes away from the moment she passed, and she was already there in a different form. And I will just share the next step of the story, not the whole thing. We went home with my dad afterwards. And my dad is this kind of guy that expects the woman to put the food in front of him and prepare the coffee for him. And we were, at that time, we were in my flat in Transylvania. So when we went back home, like never, my father prepared the coffee for me and the food for me, as my mom usually did when she was visiting me. So here again, my mom was present, and I felt so much gratitude, and I felt her presence there. It was unbelievable. So I didn't feel that she left. She was present there with me, with us, and I was just grateful to be able to connect with her in this new form.
Wow. First, Monica, I am so sorry for your loss. And thank you for sharing all of that. May your mom's memory be a blessing. Um, and it's really interesting because now I've heard you tell this story a few times, and every time you tell it, I have these flashbacks to my personal experience with how my mom is showing up in different ways. Um, and I think it's so beautiful that you walked into that experience with that lens.
This
Because,
is amazing.
yeah,
Sorry.
I was just going to say, just because having that lens of transformation, knowing that her energy is still present, or her soul, and that it's going to, show up in different ways, must have brought you a level of comfort, like walking into that.
Definitely, definitely. I knew what to look for. So it happened. It was right there in front of my eyes, and it happened again and again and again. And the other side of the law of transformation says that whatever the form is manifesting in, it's happening for you. So my mom leaving, she gave me the greatest present she could give me, because she opened the space for other moms to step up, who were really able to support me in my highest value, in what's important to me, with what she was, with what she knew, with everything from her being. She did everything. And then she gave me this enormous gift to create the space for other people to step up, to play the role of the mom in relationship with me, and to actually support my growth in a way she couldn't do anymore. She wasn't able, she didn't have the gifts for that anymore.
I think that's really beautiful. And thank you for sharing all of that. And, if you're listening out there and you have yet to lose a parent or someone you love, I want to invite you to dive into Monica's 7 universal laws and learn more about the law of transformation. And Monica, so there's 7 universal laws in your framework. We've talked about the law of transformation. What are the 6 other laws in the framework?
The law of duality, which I consider is the foundation for everything. The law of reflection, that states that whatever you see in others you have within. The law of order, which is connected with the manifestation and the ability to manifest. You manifest to the degree of the order you have in life. The law of synchronicity, that states that support and challenge are there always simultaneously. The law of heuristic escalation, which states that if you want something very, very much, you are actually pushing it away. And the law of fractals, that says that there is no chaos, there is a hidden order in everything.
Yeah, that last one, there's a hidden order, there is no chaos. Oh man, there's times in my life where I wish I would have known about that because sometimes life feels so chaotic. And I'm learning about these laws and it's really eye-opening because it's science and it's spirituality and it's math and physics all combined and there's scientific proof. So like it has a bit of woo and I love it. Like I'm a woo Jew. I'm wooish and Jewish, but there's science and when something is backed by science, it's really hard to deny its existence, right?
I agree. And this is why I love them, because it answers also to my need for logic and science and, scientifically proven things. And at the same time, it brings you to the highest level of spirituality you can have. So for me, spirituality is actually the expression and manifestation of these universal laws. And when you are able to align with them, which is, not always happens perfectly, you kind of forget and then you get back to center. When you have that and you are aligned, you truly feel that there is a meaning in this life. There is a purpose for you to serve and to manifest. And there is this higher order you are part of. And that life is basically beautiful with all the challenges we are facing. And when you see the other side of the challenge, which is the law of duality in action, see the blessings of a challenge, or see the downside of something you are in love with, when you are seeing that, you literally feel one with everything. It takes a bit of exercise because, when you have still past trauma or, big judgments, heavy judgments, and you carry emotional weight, it takes a bit until you release those and you transform those. But afterwards, you're in this space where you can consciously create your destiny, which I think is amazing. I think we are here for that.
I love that. And there, like, just to be clear, like, there are more than seven universal laws. You specifically chose these seven. Do you want to share with our listeners how you discovered the universal laws and how you came up with this specific framework?
Sure, gladly. The first encounter with the universal laws was through the book called Kybalion, where there are universal laws mentioned. For my taste and for my inner alignment, it wasn't scientifically enough. And also, it wasn't enough to apply it to human psychology. So I studied more and more, and I started to work with these from different courses, different courses in physics, in sciences, in psychology also. And I started to use them one by one until I integrated them in this framework, which you can use for to sort out every problem a human being can have. And there are protocols that are based on these universal laws that you can use to solve any problem. For instance, there is this challenge people have with imposter syndrome or with lack of confidence. So this can be translated into universal laws. I will take the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome basically means that you appreciate somebody and you hold up that person as being the standard, and you are not recognizing your own value. So we use the law of reflection to see whatever you admire in them you have within, and we are looking for the specific form you have that in, because that's your gift. And the story I'm sharing here is about me admiring my dad's mathematical intelligence and scientific intelligence. And I wanted to be like he was, like he still is. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to please him, to prove him that, I'm worthy of his appreciation. But when I did the exercise using the law of reflection on him, I noticed that my intelligence expands more than the mathematical and scientific intelligence, because I'm able to pick up on emotions, to understand how things are connected in one person's mind and how they create a certain reality out of that. And it's a different type of intelligence. And when I embraced that, my business really skyrocketed because I integrated who I am truly in my business.
Wow. That's phenomenal. I think that's really cool. And so these seven universal laws, you began applying them to clients, and you quickly rose to be the number one coach in Romania. And now you're bringing your expertise outside the borders of Romania to business leaders, entrepreneurs, women all over the world. What what advice do you have for those? Well, maybe I'll make it very specific. So someone like me, a woman entrepreneur who is 2 decades into her career, who wants to make more money, more impact. How do I begin applying these seven universal laws so that I can achieve these goals?
Sure, that's a very good question. And for me, it's related to exponential growth. And there are some layers, and it can be a bit complicated when you actually are doing it. But imagine that you are at a certain level now. And the reason for which your brain chooses to stay at that level, maybe when you are there for, I don't know, 2, 3 years and you didn't grow for the last, or not to the degree you expected to grow, then it means for your brain that you perceive that you have, more benefits than drawbacks at that level. More benefits than drawbacks means you have attachments and you have some connections that you feel that you need and you don't want to let go of. For instance, you have certain friendships which would be affected if you would earn 10 times more. Just the subconscious mind, it's not that you are thinking that way, it's that your subconscious mind is stating that. Or if you are earning 10 times more, what would happen with your relationship with your family and others? And there is a perceived negativity in that as a threat, and also is a perceived positivity in staying there. So it's a threat if you leave, it's a benefit if you are staying. This means that your mind has this balance which has to be transformed. And the next level would be, which you can visualize how it looks like. And you have a person which represents best the next level. So after detangling these conditionings that are keeping you to that level, we see where you can grow. And we use, for instance, the law of reflection to see whatever that person you perceive it's at that level, you already have within positive traits and negative traits. And that gives you an exponential growth. So this is a general approach to the exponential growth. If we are taking it to money, we can ask the same questions. What are your benefits that you have this certain amount of annual income? And what would have been the drawbacks? What would be the drawbacks if you had 10 times more? And then we see what are the subconscious reasons for which your mind prefers to have this specific income, not 10 times more. And then we work on dissolving those.
Wow. I just want to work with you. Like, let's stop recording this podcast and let's dive in. I think it's just it seems so simple. Like once you know the framework, it just seems like why aren't we all doing this? For every aspect of our life. I mean, it's just so fascinating. Okay, one more question kind of like on how to apply it. Because this podcast is about resilience and life throws us curveballs, illness, injury, grief, all sorts of challenges, work, personal, health with ourselves. Maybe we'll just use the grief aspect because you and I started talking about that at the beginning of our interview. How can we use these seven universal laws to help us navigate grief? And right when the grief happens, usually it's just so painful and you feel like it's never going to end. How can we use these seven universal laws to start to heal?
Great question. The first law I would apply is the law of transformation. When somebody passes away and then they are not in this life anymore, we are missing usually the traits that we really appreciate about that person. We are not missing the traits that we would, that were pushing our buttons. So make a list of all the traits you perceive you are lacking, you are missing. And then for each of the traits, see who is displaying those traits towards you, because they are picked up on immediately. Somebody shows them, displays them towards you, manifests them towards you. And then see what are the benefits to you that the trait shows up in this new form, because this is when you realize that it happens for you. So we apply the law of transformation, seeing who picked up on the new trait. And then we apply the law of duality by seeing what are the blessings of the new form the trait shows up. And if you do it, consequently, you do all the traits. Usually there are about 7 traits that someone is missing. When you see how those are happening for you, not to you, and then you see the gift of the person living. And I know it can sound a bit, strange, the gift of the person living, but in every situation is an equal blessing to the pain we perceive. So the more the pain, the bigger the blessing. And when you are seeing that, we are actually able to honor the person who left, because we are not attached to a specific form. We recognize everything they did, and we recognize the perfection of them living in a specific moment.
Wow, that's powerful. And okay, so that's a really great activity. Listing those traits, around 7, seeing how they're showing up in other people or in your life. What else can we do?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe just accept that grieving is very conditioned culturally. There are people who are celebrating when somebody's dying. For the Nordic people, going to Valhalla was an honor, and they were waiting for that to happen, and they were celebrating that. So a lot of what we are feeling, there are just emotions we think we should feel when something happens because we saw it in others. So by being enlightened when somebody dies, it can feel strange, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
So when you are thinking about your life like this and you are questioning why do you feel something, if it's there, do you really need to grieve? Do you really need to spend 2 years in grieving? Then you start to accept that the reality you are perceiving as being reality is way more colorful. And there are different ways of thinking that can help you to expand your perspectives. And one of the most blissful way of thinking is to understand that everything is happening for you.
Pretty profound. And I think that is really beautiful. I actually bought this book. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's a beautiful coffee table book. And it talks about the different cultures around death and grief around the world. And there's a lot of really beautiful traditions. And what you just said is a really beautiful way to look at it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Oh, I mean, I just think anyone that can be in your world is, going to learn and even learn quickly how to apply these 7 universal laws to their life, whether it's personal, health, relationships, business. How can people work with you? Like if someone's like, I wanna work with Monica. Like I know that you're not really taking clients, you have a wait list. Like how can people work with you?
That's a great question too. Thank you. We just launched the School of Universal Laws. This is where if somebody wants to learn how to apply these laws for themselves or even to support clients through coaching or therapy, that's a great start. That's a great place to start. Another way is to sign up for these shorter programs. There are 2 available right now in English. One is Power on Heels, which is for women to work on their past and their trauma from the past. And also the second one is Inspired Money Foundation. This supports you to grow your inner self-worth, so you can create a bigger container for the money to come in. It's very scientific. I know it doesn't sound so, but it has a logic behind it. And the last thing, as you mentioned at the beginning, we are launching the book with the 7 universal laws in May this year. So you'll find it on Amazon. I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, there's so many different ways. Maybe one of Monica's programs is right for you. Maybe you want to have a book and carry Monica around with you. Um, I think, I mean, both of them will feed into each other. Someone might get the book and want to work with you in one of your programs and vice versa. And I think it's such a gift that you're now in the English speaking world because we really need this right now. Like there's a lot of turmoil out there, and as we are becoming more evolved, we're all becoming more in tune with our emotions and our feelings, and having these tools to help us navigate as we stop numbing and start living, I think is going to help us live the fullest human experience.
So well said. And you're right. Especially now with so many extreme emotions and so many polarities, just having one of these laws, like the law of duality, to be able to get back to center. And even though outside there are a lot of things happening, still being able to create your own life and your own destiny. I think that's amazing. That's powerful.
It is. I love this. So as we wrap up, I know you gave a lot of advice and tips. But I would love for you to share a piece of advice for someone who's about to lose their mother, in relation to the law of transformation. What advice do you have?
To search for the gift your mother prepared to give to you.
That's beautiful. So, Monica, thank you for being a guest on Resilient AF. It is anytime I get to spend with you is a gift and an honor. And I'm so grateful to bring your expertise to our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Blair. It has been an honor, and I look forward for our next connections, next meetings. Thank you.
Which is going to be in Bali. I'm so excited. Yes, for those of you who are new to my world, I've started to co-facilitate grief retreats, and I'm doing my first grief retreat with Rachel in Bali, and I get to meet Monica. So I'm in person. I mean, again, I get to hang out with her, but essentially I get to spend time with her. And I'm just so excited for that because I love my time with Monica. And you want to get more of Monica in your life, in the show notes are her links. And just remember, friends, we do this every week. We have a new podcast for you every Tuesday. You can watch us on YouTube, listen in your favorite player. It's okay to not be okay. Life is full of ups and downs, lefts and rights, but you don't have to go through it alone. That's why the Global Resilience Project exists. That's why our books exist. This podcast exists. Let us walk with you through the darkness. Let us be that lighthouse in the storm. And just remember, you are resilient AF. Thank you. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.